Hey, what is good, everyone? Hi, we are the Hordes. It's been a little minute since we've done a video, and actually, since the last time we made a video, a lot of really cool, positive changes have happened in our life. One, just purchasing a home. Two, which is really what we're going to talk about today, we have a new addition to our family. She's not in video right now because she is napping, but we wanted to take a little bit of time and just talk about our birth experience. And I must say, not just being biased, it was a positive birth experience, and also natural birth. So we're going to take some time just to share our story. I think our baby girl, Sienna, she arrived in a very unique way. And so I'll turn it over to my lovely wife. Where do we start?
Man, I would say as soon as she was born, and that morning I was just sitting, I was like, wow, God is just really good how He orchestrated her birth just from start to finish. And I knew I wanted to vlog about it, but we've been really intentional about enjoying her, enjoying every moment. She'll be 12 weeks tomorrow, and then I go back to work this coming week, and so I've just been soaking in all of just little baby goodness and just getting all the cuddles, resting, because birth and parenting and breastfeeding are a journey, but I'm thankful that God chose us for this journey. So this story starts on October 21st at my 36-week appointment. So a 36-week appointment, we go in, we get the ultrasound, we start talking to our doctor about, possible induction dates, things like that, and then my doctor decides to check my cervix to see how far along I'm dilated. I kind of figured and knew that I was dilated, I just had a feeling, but she checked my cervix, and Cedric would even notice this, it was really uncomfortable. Like I really grimaced. I was like, oh, that's uncomfortable. Is it supposed to be that uncomfortable? But come to find out, I was already 3 centimeters dilated. Now, of course, you can be dilated for a long period of time and nothing happened, so my doctor wasn't too concerned. But after the appointment, I just felt so uncomfortable. Like something just wasn't right down there. It was just like, okay, I'm having contractions. I don't know if they're Braxton Hicks or not, but I just kept having contractions from that Thursday of the appointment. All day I tried to drink water. I tried to just sit down and do nothing. I was just like, okay. And let me go back and say that I felt a shift in my body at 33 weeks. Like at 33 weeks going to 34 weeks, I was like, okay, I gotta stop working out. I used to walk around the block and try to be active. But even walking a little bit would make me super uncomfortable. Like I felt like I was having contractions with just walking a certain distance. And so I shut myself down. I was sitting, I was drinking water. But I noticed I was having contractions even before that appointment. Very inconsistent, of course, but still there. And I would literally have to use the bathroom like several times an hour, so very uncomfortable to say the least. And so it's Thursday after the appointment, I'm still having contractions. Friday, I'm having contractions all day. I was supposed to go to a women's conference at my church. I'm so sad I couldn't make it, but a nurse friend and I were talking. We're like, yeah, we probably shouldn't go to the conference. And so I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to sit at home. I'm going to work from home today. I'm going to drink my water. I'm going to sit. I'm not going to do a lot, and these contractions will stop. That did not happen. Saturday morning, I feel like we were both up just randomly at 5 a.m.
It's not early. Yeah.
I don't know. And I kind of had a feeling like this is going to be the last time, and it's just going to be just us in this bed. And so I woke up, I'm like, oh, I feel good. Maybe I'll go to the conference today, because it's a 2-day conference, it's Saturday. But I went to the bathroom, and I was fine. So I tried to lay back down. An hour later at 6 o'clock, I'm like, I am incredibly uncomfortable. And so like I couldn't go to sleep. I just kept feeling sharp pains, sharp contractions. And so I go to the bathroom, and then I see blood when I use the bathroom. So I'm like, okay, it's time. And so Cedric is like in bed, half asleep. Mind you, it's 6 a.m. We've been up since 5 a.m. It's 6 a.m. I'm like, Cedric, it's time. We gotta go. And Cedric's like, oh, okay. So he starts to get up, starts to get our bags together. And we already had our bags packed because I was, like I said, I felt like something was coming. Like, so I was really antsy, even leading up to the 36 weeks. I'm like, Cedric, we gotta have our bags packed. We gotta have everything done because I feel like this baby might surprise us.
Yeah.
And she did. So Cedric starts getting ready. Mind you, my hair wasn't done. And I was really adamant about having my hair done. So I'm texting my sister. I'm like, man, my hair isn't done. You're supposed to give me braids. And so I was just sad. So we're getting ready. Cedric is calling my mom. I call my mom, and my mom said, okay, I'm coming. I'm on my way because Cedric and my mom are going to be my guests when I had labor.
Yeah, and sorry, just due to COVID, right? That adds a whole nother dynamic. So it's only 2 guests that were allowed the whole time we eventually get to the hospital. So
yes. Oh gosh. And so I call the doctor and they have me timing the contractions. I'm timing the contractions, and the contractions are all under 6 minutes, but they're inconsistent. So they're like, one's 3 minutes, and then it's 2 minutes, and it's 5, and then it's 6, and it's 4. So it was never a consistent 5 minutes like they wanted. So I call them, and the doctor's like, oh, I'm not concerned. You're only 36 weeks. Your contractions are very inconsistent. Just drink some water and relax. And so I did that. I was a little bummed out. I'm like, oh, I guess it's not time yet. And so I took the initiative. Once I realized my contractions started to slow down a bit, actually around 8 a.m. they started to slow down. I'm like, okay, I feel fine. They're not coming anymore, really. So I called my sister, and my mom took me to her house.
Yeah, so
and she did my hair.
So at this point, we're like, okay, maybe it's a false alarm. She's still on alert. So I went to the gym. I left. She got her hair done. Went to Chick-fil-A. Got the Cobb salad. Shout out to
Cobb salad.
Chick-fil-A.
They were in the spirit when they created the Cobb salad.
Yes. But so I got food, got to her sister's house, and then.
Okay, so I'm getting my hair done at my sister's house. I'm literally fine the whole time. Like, I'm not really having contractions. I'm drinking water. I'm sitting. She's doing my braids. As soon as he comes, I start eating my salad. He gives me my salad. I start having these strong contractions. I'm like, okay, these are a little stronger than earlier. I go to the bathroom, and there's even more blood. And so I call. I'm like, okay, I've waited. I've been sitting. I've been resting. And my contractions are coming back even stronger. I'm having even more blood. This time it's bright red. And they're like, okay, we want you to check your monitor your contractions for a complete hour, and if they are 5 minutes apart and you're still having blood, we want you to come in. Don't even call. So of course she wasn't done with my hair yet, so in that hour she finished my hair. Shout out to my sister. And the contractions never were consistent 5 minutes. They were all under 5 minutes, but they were never consistently 5 minutes. And so of course still bleeding, so having contractions, so I'm like, we'll just go. So my mom trailed us to the hospital. We get there, we get checked in the pre-labor triage area, and I'm not 3 centimeters anymore, I'm now 5 centimeters. And they're like, well, you're a little early on, so we're going to try to give you IV fluids and things like that. And hopefully you're just dehydrated, and we'll be able to stop labor. And I'm like, first of all, I have this water bottle with me every day, every time, literally all the time. I know I'm not dehydrated, but I'm like, okay, whatever. We'll do the IV fluids, we'll play this game, and we'll see if it'll stop. Of course, 2 hours on the IV fluids. I progressed from 5 centimeters to 7 centimeters. Yeah. And my contractions are still inconsistent. The nurse specifically said, she's like, oh, your contractions are inconsistent still. I don't know if it's time yet. I'm like, okay, whatever you say. So I'm just on my IV fluids. I'm on my bouncy ball. I'm laboring. I'm just bouncing around. We have the worship music in the background. I'm preparing myself for birth, even though they want to send me home, but I'm like, okay, this baby's probably coming today. Yeah. So I check my cervix and like 7 centimeters. You're going home with a baby. And that moment we were like, okay, this is really happening. And so, and at this point, the anesthesiologist comes in and offers me an epidural, and I was really adamant about having a natural birth. Like throughout my pregnancy, I was preparing myself mentally to have her naturally. Whether that was bouncing on the ball, natural remedies like essential oils, affirmations, things like that. I was really preparing. Yeah, breathing was a big thing. So I was really adamant on a natural birth. My mom had all of her children, all 5 of us naturally, and that's why I really wanted her by my side along with my husband when we gave birth. So I was like, I can do this. And so I was like, no, thank you. I won't take that epidural right now. I'm feeling good. The pain is tolerable at this point, even though I'm 7 centimeters. My water hasn't broken yet, so I'm just taking every contraction with stride. And then after 2 hours after they checked me at 7 centimeters, they checked me again, and I was on 8 centimeters. I'm like, oh man, just 8 centimeters. And so they checked, but they do break my water at this point. Yeah. And
yeah, so I think that's a key point. Yeah. You know, you can see in this story, if you've been listening, you know, intently, that inconsistent contractions.
Very.
Her water didn't break, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was such an unconventional way. You know, I wasn't in the textbooks of how this birth process was happening.
Yeah.
So our baby girl was still on the way, even in the midst of inconsistent contractions, water not breaking. She just came here very on much her time, right?
Very much.
God's timing and her time.
Exactly.
She was determined to come out at this point.
Yes, and all the while she's just chilling in there. Her heart rate never dropped. She was completely fine, just coming naturally at 36 weeks. So after they broke my water, and I had this condition since I had gestational diabetes. I had polyhydramnios, which is excessive amniotic fluid, and they broke my water. But my water just kept, it was so much fluid inside me. Like, it was like you turn on a bath faucet and just let it run. I was so surprised by it. I'm like, all that was in me with her. And it's just a blessing that she came when she came, because at 36 weeks we found out we had polyhydramnios. And there are a lot of risks that go along with that, including like birth defects, stillbirth, things like that. So they break my water, and I'm still, you know, bouncing on the ball. I'm still good. I'm not feeling a whole lot of pain, just discomfort with the contractions. But when I hit 9 centimeters, it was a noticeable shift in pain. Like I was standing with my contractions, like I was either bouncing on the ball or swaying back and forth when I was having the contractions. But when I had a contraction, when I hit 9 centimeters, it's like I couldn't stand anymore. And it was a sharp pain. I was like, okay, so my husband and my mom were holding me up. We were trying different positions to try to get me to that last centimeter. And it just seemed like it took some time to get from 9 to 10 centimeters. Maybe because I was in so much pain, but that was when I was like, okay, maybe I should have got the epidural, but I'm like, no, I'm here. We can do this. And so finally I get to 10 centimeters. I'm like, okay, bet 30 minutes of pushing, I can do this. You know, and of course I've been up since 5 a.m. We got to the hospital at 5 p.m. Yeah. I start pushing at midnight.
Yeah, so no naps.
I literally have been up since 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And so an hour went by of me pushing. It's 1 a.m. and I'm like, okay, I'm tired. And so my contractions still, as I'm pushing, were inconsistent to the point where I would fall asleep in between contractions. So I would be pushing and I wouldn't have another contraction for 4 minutes. But I think God was strategically doing that because he realized I needed rest. And so I would literally like doze off in between contractions. Yes. Well, and then,
let me make a more statement on that point. Yeah, like, again, it was very inconsistent, right? So it wasn't, this really linear 3 minutes and start pushing. It was like God was giving her the energy that she needed to push Sienna out. So, you know, from my standpoint, husband's standpoint, you kind of feel helpless. Like, man, like you're seeing all this pain, but you can't really do anything about it. But for me, it was just seeing how it was literally like God was giving her enough energy, and I was like, wow, you know, God is really in the midst of this. So just from the outside looking in and being a part of that, that was just something that I think I will always remember of just God's, I think, presence just in that room for us.
Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy because usually when you hear about, you know, birth, when it's time to push, the contractions are back to back to back. There's really like not a lot of relief or rest, but God strategically was giving me rest because He knew I'd be pushing for 2 hours, and I've been up since 5 a.m. and I was physically like, that is the most exhausted I've been, and that is the most pain I've ever been in. The contractions weren't that bad, in fact, that's 9 centimeters, but the pushing was uncomfortable. It was so uncomfortable. So I'm pushing for an hour, still no progress, and her head kept coming in and out. It's like, and which was so frustrating because Cedric and my mom and the nurse are like, oh, look at all that hair, her hair's coming out. And I'm like, I don't care about her hair, I just want her out. And so she come in and out, and an hour and a half goes by, still no baby. 2 hours comes, and I'm just like, I'm over this. So it's 2 a.m. and I've been pushing for 2 hours. I haven't had sleep since 5 a.m. It's almost 24 hours since I've been up, and the doctor comes in, I'm like, look, forceps, vacuum, you guys gotta take her out of here. I can't do any more pushing.
C-section.
Yeah, I was like, you guys gotta take her out of me. But the doctor was like, if we do a vacuum and it doesn't work, you will have to have a C-section. And when I heard that, I was just like, I am not about to have 2 hours of pushing all this work and laboring naturally to have a C-section. I would say that the healthcare team, one thing I was worried about was being a Black woman giving birth. My healthcare team took amazing care of me. They advocated for me. They listened to me. So the doctor came in and she gave me these amazing cues. She put her fingers at the bottom of my cervix. She said, push into my fingers. And that's when her head finally came out, and they started to put on the PPE. I was like, oh yeah, go time, she's about to come out now. That's when I like felt a little hope. I was still very tired, but I felt hope. And so Cedric, we had music playing in the background, but Cedric got my phone and was like, what song do you want to play? And at the top of my list was Promises by Maverick City. And so you played it, and you want to say?
I mean, yeah, you know, and then like, that was like the theme music, right? If you think of like a movie situation, and it was really that song, just the momentum of everything, seeing the doctors get ready, and that was really the motivation to push Sienna out. So at this point, I'm bawling, right? I'm crying. It's just such a beautiful experience that you can't really articulate in words, but just to see new life forming after all these hours, after all this pushing.
Yes, so
you know,
from that, when we put the song on, it was 18, we played the song twice. And so it was 18 minutes to 2:18 a.m. she was born.
October 24th.
Yeah, October 24th, 2:18 a.m. He's bawling, my mom's bawling. I'm just like, I'm still pushing. Like, she still hasn't come out yet. Yeah. Like, when her head came out, it was the worst pain I've ever experienced. And I screamed like I've never screamed before. But then I had to like regather myself and push her out. Push the shoulders, and then I screamed again because that was even more painful. When I pushed her out, and once she was out, I'm like, okay, it wasn't that bad, even though it was. And so he's crying, and I'm just like, okay, let me see her. I'm like, I just want to see her face, and she's absolutely beautiful. It was such a surreal moment, and just to be able to just lay there in the moment, she's out of me now, and just still hearing Promises playing, like, great is your faithfulness to me, just was such a surreal moment. Like, God was so faithful during the whole process. Just how he gave me the strength I needed at each interval. I felt like I wanted to give up so many times, but he just kept giving me a second wind. And it was truly, God was truly in the midst of everything. And at the end, the doctor was like, that was a lovely song to push to. And just that we were able to put God on display in that moment was just the cherry on top.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So as you can see, we had to tend to baby really quickly. She woke up from her nap. So you can see a little bit of her, and she's just so perfect and sweet. But as we were saying, despite her being born early at 36 weeks, she came here completely perfect, completely ready for the world. She was super alert. She didn't have jaundice or anything. No health complications, which was truly a blessing. We're just in awe of God's grace, God's faithfulness, and just how ready for the world she was. So we're just so thankful for her. And when we were in the hospital, we were able to go home only a couple days. We didn't have to stay extra long or anything like that. So it was just truly, we just saw God all throughout the process.
Yes, I can honestly say for both of us, we're blessed to be parents. Of course, it's a new learning, curve for us. We're in this. We're not perfect. We're not experts, but we are in this journey. And I'm so thankful that God will go before us in the journey. I'm thankful for our village that is helping us.
Yes, absolutely.
Raise this beautiful girl. So that is our birth story. I hope it was encouraging to you.
Yes.
For pregnant mothers out there, expecting mothers, expecting families, that you can maybe get some encouragement from our story and our experience.
Yes.
And yes, thank you for tuning in. Until next time, thank you for your time listening to us. God is good. Peace out. Take care.